Loski, fucking Loski, man. Free Loski, bro. Free Loski. Free fucking Loski. Rapper Loski arrested. Loski is believed to be the 26-year-old man arrested on suspicion of causing death by dangerous driving and having possession of a knife. The arrest followed a fatal crash on the M40 involving a black VW Golf and a blue Mercedes AMG. He's due in court on the 14th of the 7th, which is what, tomorrow, right? The 14th of 7th? Oh no, it was today. So he must be in court already yesterday. Where he'll be most likely not plead guilty for the dangerous driving, but will have to make a plea for the possession of a knife. So Loski just got out recently, actually, which is really sad. Loski is a UK rapper, UK drill artist. He was meant to be the next one up, really. He should be on the level of like a Central C, to be honest. He really should be on the level of a Central C, but he's been in and out of prison ever since he's burst onto the scene. He's been in and out of prison. I think he might have been in prison like 4 times, 5 times. And I'm assuming, if I had to guess, he's probably like 26, 27, 28. So if you've been in prison 4 or 5 times before you're 28, most likely, if you're an artist, that's gonna fuck up your career. Like, especially if you kind of blow up in 18. Like the moments where you're meant to kind of build your career up and kind of, evolve and whatever, step by step, you're going to prison and it's setting you back a bit. When you come back out, you try and recover those steps, then you go back in again, and vice versa, and so on and so forth, right? So he's kind of fucking himself with these dalliances. But at this stage, there's nothing more you can say in it, because I know he probably knows he fucked up. But I wonder if this is just a situation where he just, in a way, he's institutionalized. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe going to prison for so early. I think he might have went in first when he was like 17 or something, and being in and out. You only know one way of living. And when I did see him on streams, I'm not gonna lie, when I did see him on streams, like the first couple of live streams he did when he came out recently, which was a few months ago, he was really like tense. I think one particular stream I watched, it kind of felt like he was sunning the host. Like he came out like he came out like somebody you'd imagine had it, like if some guy comes out of prison and goes onto a live stream to promote their music, you would assume they'd be a little bit tense. They'd not take certain things, like certain jokes they wouldn't stand for, because they've still got that prison sort of mentality in their heads. But then by the end of the fucking promo run, I think when he eventually interviewed with Billy the Goat, right? That kid Billy the Goat, I think that's his name. You could tell he was kind of softening up a little bit and chilling and becoming a little bit more chill, becoming a little bit more affable and whatnot, and being able to joke about and whatnot. So it's actually a sad thing, because it looked like he was getting a hang of it, because he's really funny. He's got a really great sense of humor. Obviously a really unique rapping ability as well, rapping style. He picks great beats as well. I like his videos. Great artist, to be fair. Really good artist. I think Drake's a big fan of it as well when he first kind of popped up. So it's kind of sad to see him being in and out of prison so often, because it's essentially like stalled his career. And like Digga D, as much as I love Digga D, I think being in and out so often and your fans not being able to have new music from you, and then new artists popping up and sort of like filling your slot, sometimes you come back out and those fans aren't going to be there anymore. They're going to have new favorites. So they have to be conscious of the fact that, yes, they're both talented, but, talent isn't enough. You have to also be around to drop the music. And if you're not around, another person's going to come in and fill that void. And that's the kind of thing that's, I think, already happens to Digga D. So I hope it doesn't happen to Loski, but let's see what happens. I wanted to read the original article, actually. This is the original article. This is police hunt for 4 people who fled from a Mercedes after a fatal M40 crash. This happened on the 12th of July, I think, somewhere around there. It says police are trying to locate 4 people who got out of a Mercedes car and ran off after it was involved in a motorway crash that left a man dead. The vehicle was traveling northbound on the M40 when it was involved in a collision with a black Volkswagen that was traveling in the same direction just before 1:15 a.m. Thames Valley Police have said the driver of the Volkswagen, 27-year-old man from High Wycombe, died of his injuries. God almighty, bro. So Loski was in the car that ended up being in a car crash, which ended up killing some 27-year-old innocent guy. God almighty, bro. I don't know what it is about vehicular homicide. I'm not sure how it works. I'm not sure if you're in the passenger seat and you're not driving, if you can be liable for that death. Will you also be charged for manslaughter or something else? I'm not too sure. Because if he wasn't behind the wheel, he's gonna have some chance of getting off on this. But if he was behind the wheel driving, it's gonna be a situation. I'm sure they're not gonna be able to test for drugs because he ran off, right? I think that's why people run off, because I've seen that a lot in like the news. I've seen a lot of news articles of people being involved in car crashes and running away. John Jones happened recently, a few others, even that comedian Jeff Died hangs on Brendan Schaub. I think the tactic is to run away. When you run away, they can't then drug test you because, you know, you've been away from the car scene and there's no telling when and where you took what you took. So that can kind of help you in that respect. But yeah, for his career, he better pray he wasn't behind the wheel. He better pray he wasn't behind the wheel. The force added that his passenger, a man in the 20s, sustained serious but not life-threatening injuries and has been taken to hospital. A 26-year-old man from Beaconsfield has been arrested on suspicion of causing death by dangerous driving and possession of a knife, blade, and pointed article in public space. So that's Loski, I think, because I think Loski's 26. I said, yeah, and that might be Loski, because he said he got arrested for suspicion by death of dangerous driving and possession of a knife. He remains in custody. However, police are still trying to locate 2 men and 2 women who got out of the blue Mercedes and left the scene on foot. Police are appealing for witnesses and dashcam footage following a collision near Junction 2. Fucking hell, man. Absolutely tragic. And here's a picture actually courtesy of the Sun, so you can get a better idea of what happened. I'm assuming this is the AMG Mercedes that Loski was in, this blue one. And then the victim's car is that Golf there. That looks like it's completely been rear-ended. That Golf looks like it's completely blitzed. And the Golf is right there, right? The Golf is there. And that's the AMG. Fucking hell, man. So fucking tragic. You know what's weird as well about this, looking at the car? Maybe that's how car crashes are just weird like that. It says that the driver died of his injuries, right? But if you look at the Golf, it's only the back of the car that looks like it's been smashed. So maybe whoever the car that Loski was in rear-ended that other car. So I've never seen that, like a driver dying from being rear-ended, but the front of the car isn't that fucked up. Like obviously the front bumper is obviously hanging off, but the bonnet looks fairly intact. So I wonder what caused the death. I wonder what caused his injuries. Maybe he got jolted really hard. Maybe something in the car smashed him on the head or something. It's really interesting. Like the back of the car is obviously fucked, but the front is fairly intact. But the driver still died. Fucking hell, man. Horrendous. Horrendous. This is one of the worst ways to go, by the way. Not gonna lie. This is one of the worst ways to go. Like, not gonna lie, worst ways to go. Like, you just driving, mind your own business, and somebody being reckless, maybe high off balloons, maybe drunk, you know what I mean? Crashes and then you die. And it always happens that way. It's always, it's never the person in the car that dies. It's always the other people around. Like, and I remember somebody explaining why that happens, because I remember watching this one video, or this one article of this lady in America who was depressed or something. I think her boyfriend broke up with her or something. So she jumped in her Mercedes and just started going super fast down one road, like 100 miles per hour, crazy fast. And obviously she went past a certain light, she blitzed through lights, and she ended up like smashing like 4 cars. And one of the cars contained the whole family. She wiped out an entire family tree. I think there might be Mexican people as well, like entire family wiped them out. But the woman was alive, able to stand trial. That's like, how does that happen? How do you drive 100 miles per hour, smash into mad people? But then I guess it's a physics thing. Because that car's traveling at a certain speed and those other cars aren't, you know, most likely that's what happens. Because you'd imagine if that car's traveling at a really high speed and it hits that car with force, that car's going to get more damage. It's probably a physics thing. But yeah, it's a crazy situation for Loski, man. Absolutely crazy situation for Loski. He's in fucking big trouble. Let's see how it pans out. Hopefully he wasn't behind the wheel. Hopefully he was one of the passengers and shit. But still, it seems like trouble just keeps following this guy, man. Trouble just keeps following this guy. Trouble just keeps following this guy.